Gather, veterans. It's time to join the fight. The long war begins.
This is The Long War. I'm Rob Baer, and joining me once again are my partners in crime, Kenny Boucher and Wyatt Turk. What's up, guys?
Yo, dog, great to be here.
Yeah, what's up?
It's been an interesting week. Started off a little slow, and then sploosh, I guess.
Yeah, that's what just happened to you actually in the pregame.
We don't have to talk about that. For those of you out there, I had to vent plasma from my warp core. If you weren't here earlier, I'll let you figure out what that means.
Prolific chat troll LT said, hashtag warp core breach.
It's technically not this time. It has happened in the past.
Yeah, I'm glad we don't have shit clocks.
Yeah. That was an epic video.
That'll be the day that I retreat from society.
When our social currency is directly tied to when the last time we shit our pants was, and having that number be as far from zero as possible.
That would be a lot.
We're going to be not looking good, gentlemen. We're going to be some single digit motherfuckers over here. Yikes. We've got Wyatt again for the beginning of the show. If you want to hear more Wyatt hot takes, you're going to have to check out the after hours and the pre-game over on Patreon. Give us money to go through that paywall. That's how it works, right?
Yeah.
But he is here, and we can accelerate his healing process by allowing him to do his weekly Would You Rather, which is actually medical advice he received from his doctors.
Yep. Yeah. Laughter is the best medicine.
So let's get that Peabody. Roll out to the Cave of Wonders.
Would you rather giggle like a schoolgirl every time you laughed, or make gagging noises before you greet anyone?
Is it like, even if it's like you, like I'm greeting you, even though I know you, I'm going to gag?
Yeah. Anytime you greet someone.
Like, what kind of gag? Can we get a audio?
Full on dry?
I don't know. I mean, I don't want to trigger anybody who's like a sympathetic vomiter. Might be in their car on their way to work. Okay. You know what I mean? It's like, you know. You gotta,
full on, like you're talking like when I'm brushing my teeth and I get too back to the duodenum.
Yeah, like you hit the little dongle back there.
Yeah, hit the little speed bag too hard.
Yeah.
Has that happened to you?
What?
You never been really trying to get that back molar and it skips off and hits you in the back of the throat?
Oh, I just brushed that thing because I thought I was supposed to.
Oh, yeah. That's how you keep the bronchitis down.
Yeah, I thought you were supposed to brush that thing.
Yeah. No,
you're not supposed to.
I don't know. You're getting that reaction.
Been using my Sonicare on that joint, man. It's rough.
Oh, God.
So full on gag. Like, as insulting, I'm assuming as possible. Like a full-on, unconcealable, like the guy would be offended the first time you meet him. Like, what the fuck is wrong with this person? As embarrassing as possible. I'm assuming the gin is. Yeah. And then the alternative is to giggle as if I was like a grammar school level, like we're talking like an 8-year-old girl.
Yeah.
Like angelic, squeaky, high-pitched voice kind of situation.
Yes.
Would it be like super annoying, or would it be like the sound of like of children's laughter in a good way?
I mean, either or, but I think the most disconcerting part is that it's coming from a grown man of your just like you.
I mean, no matter how you slice
honestly,
it.
any of us.
I mean, the more enchanting and angelic it sounds, the more
disturbing it becomes. Probably more creepy.
Yeah, the more worse it is.
Yeah.
Like I like it. I like the sound of my nieces laughing, you know? But I would not like the sound of Rob laughing like my nieces. That would be disturbing as a motherfucker.
I don't know if I can get that high.
I mean, you're magicked into that situation, sir.
That would just be weird.
Yeah. Like, yikes. It's magic, dude. Like, you're not responsible for making yourself gag when you meet a new person. The genie's taking care of it. Is it like full on, like eyes water and everything? Like it's a near miss every time?
Sure. Why not?
So if I go upstairs to say hi to Bonet in the morning, it happens. If I go back downstairs to take a leak and I come back upstairs to talk to her, it happens again.
No, only if you greet them.
Is it like, okay, is it like, hi, Bonet?
Yeah.
If somebody greets me, does it happen no matter what?
No, it's when you greet people.
So I end up having to make this like really rude. So no matter how you're going to offend people, no matter how you slice it.
Yeah.
Sounds like it.
So I can be like this creep, this dick who just like kind of avoids eye contact with people all the time and just kind of waits to be introduced at all times and is nobody likes me now. Or I'm like, hey, my name's
Are you allowed to be like, hey, sorry, I got this deal with this genie?
We never discuss the magic.
No, the
only one you've ever been allowed to discuss is the P jar, in which case you must bring it up in conversation.
That was a classic.
Yeah, I think I do the laughing one, honestly. If they're both going to be fucked up, I want to take the more fucked up one.
Yeah, I think it's more socially acceptable probably at that point.
Well, definitely it'll be something to talk about. So at least I can like shake hands with somebody and be like, yo, my name's Kenny. And they can make a funny joke. And at that point, I can decide like how strong my resolve is. And if I were to reveal to them my current situation, which is that I have the angelic high-pitched chime laughter of a 12-year-old girl. And coming out of this body. Like... And then we'll see where it goes from there. You know, maybe that dude's like, you know, you're a fucking weirdo, dude. And he just walks away. Or he's going to be like, you're hilarious, dude. Great one. And then I could be like, yeah, man, I am fucking hilarious.
That's a gamble.
Yeah, you know. I don't know. I think I'd probably do the same thing. Because you can kind of spin it into like, oh, hey, I got like, the flu really bad this one time, and like I haven't been the same ever since. This is how I laugh now. But then you can never actually laugh because you won't laugh like that. Oh, it's weird.
What do you mean?
Is that how you laugh?
That's how you laugh now. Anything you would laugh at.
That's how you laugh.
Anytime you chuckle, anytime you laugh at your own joke.
Oh, then it's fine. Just do that.
You're watching like a blooper reel and some dude smashes his nuts on a rail doing a fucking ollie or something. And you're like, and that's when it happens right there. And everyone looks over at you like you're a fucking freak.
I feel like you could spin that into your own, like content, like you doing dumb shit and just giggling about it maniacally. But like in a schoolgirl's voice.
I can definitely
like,
get a TikTok going on for a while before the truth is out there, you know.
Yep.
Yep. I do schoolgirl laughter. That's my pick.
Fair choice.
Yep. Well, thank you for that.
That was a good one. I like that.
Also, I don't like throwing up or even getting close to it, so. I feel like there's like some hidden, like I'm going to go online one day and be like, hey, yo, dog, my name's Kenny Boucher, and I'm going to be like stuck in a like 175 person gag reflex. Because the magic sent that greeting out to everyone who watches and shit.
Oh, man.
Like I could just see that happening. They'd be like, that's it. I would go online and never introduce myself. Like, we're painting stuff. Here we go. Someone's gonna be like, yo, what's your name? I don't have one of those. Continue painting.
None of your business.
None of your fucking business. All right. Well, if you need to get out of here, which I believe you do, thank you for kicking it with us today and giving us your weekly update. The current update is we're not going to see you at SoCal Open now. So put that out to the people who are coming out to SoCal Open.
Yep. It's going to be a long road. We'll get there.
We will.
Sorry, bud.
All right. See you guys.
Much love. Wyatt Turk, thank you so much. Now, over to Mantis news with Rob.
Maybe the genie can help Wyatt.
The genie doesn't help anyone.
We'll come to him with a Godfather-like offer.
An offer he can't refuse. Nice.
I make you an offer.
Good.
Wouldn't that be wild?
Yeah, I'm with it.
All right, so we got new releases. These new releases are kind of spicy this week. So it's Warhammer Day this Saturday. There will be the Black Templar Baynard's Revenge, which is that really cool looking Empress champion based off some older art. Diorama sort of kind of model that looks pretty dope. $45 for that one. The Sons of Behemoth are getting some releases. Well, their big release in Sigmar, but they have a new Mega Gargant kit coming out. It's called King Broad, and it, according to the description, makes all the versions of the Mega Gargants up to this point, plus the other new one. I forget what it's called. Doesn't matter at this point. For the whopping price of $210. That's right. We have our first $200 kit from Games Workshop. Technically, the Mega Gargants were $195. That doesn't really count. Now they've raised the price to $200 on them, and this guy is $210. 2022 $200 kit. Wild. I'll just let that sink in for a minute. And shockingly, if you do the math on how much money it costs to build a Sons of Behemoth army, overall, it actually went down because they bundled the Man Crusher, the tiny giant. Well, now they're tiny giants, but they used to be the giant. They're basically their armature, their troop choices, their battle lines. So those went down. So you can actually build an army for less now, even though the big ones went up. Go figure. So overall, it doesn't look so bad, but I think it's a dangerous precedent for their pricing in general. Whew. Wild. Also, the Man Crusher mob that I was talking about, $160. Those are the little giants, but used to be the old big giants from 15 years ago. Sons of Behemoth Battle Tome, $55. The Lumineth make their appearance. Currently, it looks like they were delayed some, but now here we are. In fall, they're getting their Battle Tome for $55. Their War Scroll card pack for $33.50. Dice for $38. And then for Horse Heresy, we got the Land Raider Proteus for $85. And Helbrecht is getting a hardback novel as well for $19 on the Black Library side of things there. So those are all the official GW releases coming to pre-order this Saturday and then releasing next week, of course. On the other miniature side of things, GW announced, or it's not GW, Star Wars. Well, they haven't officially announced it, but AMG, Atomic Mass Games, is going to release a limited edition Grogu miniature. The previous limited edition miniatures generally came with the same cards inside, just with some different artwork and such. Apparently, the rumor is, according to a couple of industry insiders, is that the model will be available to the top 200 stores by sales volume from Asmodee. So you may see them in the future hitting stores. I suspect they'll be around $20. Don't 100% know yet, but the previous commander, Luke Skywalker commander in December of 2020 was $15 and currently sells for anywhere between $100 and $150 on eBay right now. And if you're lucky enough to go to the, Star Wars Celebration in Anaheim, California, the 2019, I believe it was, Darth Vader goes for like $1,000. Same mini.
Oh my God.
Different artwork inside.
Is it more limited?
It's super limited. It was only available at that event, at their booth. But then it was Fantasy Flight Games. So kind of wild because it's the same exact rules and everything that you get in a starter set. It just has different art and different posing.
And less of them were made.
Oh, way less of them were made. Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting to see it. So hopefully Grogu doesn't get too wild because I'm sure he's going to be a fan favorite and such. Speaking of things for a lot of money, I don't know if you heard about this, Kenny, but Wizards announced that for the 30th anniversary of Magic, they are putting out you can't say reprint because technically they're not reprints, but they are putting out packs full of proxy cards of the original Magic the Gathering set. Four packs come in a box, 4 booster packs, 15 cards each. How much do you think?
So they're not, I mean, so they're just like, what is that called?
They're technically a proxy because
they're not a first, so they're like a second edition printing of the original.
Well, they're not even the same card. They have a different border on the front. They don't have the retro border. They call it a banner. No, that's not the right term. Frame. They have a different frame. And the back it says Magic 30th anniversary, and it's got a gold border. They're not square edges. They're the standard.
And so these are some of those like cards that people buy for like $1 billion, but they're not really those cards.
Even though yes, they are. There is a extremely expensive Black Lotus card out of beta with black borders.
So these are these are those like beta cards.
They're literally the same cards that came in the beta.
But aren't those decks of those beta decks like $1,500 for like a sealed deck or a sealed pack?
15,000.
Wait, for like a pack of unopened beta is $15,000? Or I thought it was
yes.
Really?
It used to be less. It is much more.
Holy shit! So it's like one of those, but less cards in it.
Same amount of cards.
Same amount of cards. So these are $15,000 if you have a sealed beta right now,
give or take.
So then this is a new fake version of that.
Four to a bundle, 4 packs to a bundle box, basically.
But are these going to be printed like in extremely limited fashion as well?
Yes.
Well, I mean, so it's just like any limited Magic card then at that point. So they can be worth identical if you want them to.
I mean, but you can't play with them in tournaments. You can't. They are technically.
You can't play with beta cards in tournaments either, right?
No, you can.
Like special tournaments, though. Like.
Well, I mean, you would have to play in a vintage tournament unless it was a beta version of a card that's currently in standard or modern, depending on what format you're playing.
So you have I can see that they're worth more than a current Magic card for sure, because they are going to be more limited, and that's ultimately what the name of the game is. So if it's 10 grand for the real deal, I'd say these motherfuckers could be anywhere up to fucking, $1,500 or more for a pack of these joints.
LT said this is like explaining Magic the Gathering to a boomer.
I can see those packs of cards being worth $1,000, dude.
The bundle of 4 packs is being retailed by Wizards of the Coast for $1,000 this Cyber Monday in November. $1,000. 4 packs of cards.
Yeah. That checks out.
But they are only going to be available direct from Wizards. Every store supposedly on their Play Network will get 1 pack. Premium stores will get 3 packs to sell. So basically, depending on how you look at it, stores are not going to be able to sell or order the packs in and sell them because Wizards is going direct to consumer. So you could say it's almost like they're giving out a pack to stores for hush money. You could say that. I've seen that mentioned.
For hush money? What do you mean?
A time or two.
Break that down.
I'm just saying.
I just see it as a way to make money. Like, what do you mean hush money?
Because you can't buy the pack. Stores do not get the opportunity to buy the pack. I mean, how much do you think this costs to make? This little 4 packs of cards.
Oh, Magic cards are sick, dude. They're just however much it costs to print on cardboard, dog. I don't fucking know.
Right. Exactly. So imagine how much stores can actually make off these packs if they were allowed to buy them. And
box break them and do shit like they do.
Right. But no, they're all direct.
But isn't Magic going? Wasn't that what Wizards of the Coast has been doing?
A lot of it's direct. They do secret.
Yeah, they don't care about people. They don't care about local business. Like they've made that clear. So
they act like they do, but again, there's a lot of fiefdoms.
They want more money. Like I say, it's about money, dude. Like the only reason you would not support the local scene, right? The rogue trader scene, as it were, is because it's not worth money to you anymore. And you don't need their communities anymore. So now you want to maintain a higher profit margin. That's it. So
I mean,
That's what they're doing. And that's on track with what they've been doing. They can say whatever they want, but we all know what they've been doing. It's, same thing that GW's been doing.
And it's actually the same, very similar thing just happened, unfortunately. And it's kind of effing over a lot of people. Magic sold the 40K commander decks direct to consumer on Amazon up until about a week ago. And they pulled the collector sets, which are all foil. This is really cool. They call them surge foils. We talked about them briefly, that they were coming all bent, and they're not that bad. I've seen unboxing videos. They look fine. But then they pulled them from their store on Amazon, and immediately the price doubled. And they're still up, it's cooled off a little bit. It's around $1,000 for the 4 decks. So like say $250 a deck right now, when they were retail $150, if you could even find them. So what happened was Wizards said, hey, distribution, we're not giving you as much. And then it trickled down and everybody got allocated down the line to stores. So stores took a bunch of pre-orders. It's the whole thing we talked about during COVID with GW. Same thing happened. But it's funny that it's happening. Funny, ha-ha, cry. But that it's happening with a 40K product with Magic. And that's just happening this weekend, unfortunately. But you can still get the standard versions. Most stores are going to have them. It doesn't look like those were too limited in allocation. But, you just hate to see stuff like that when they put out a really dope product. And of course, all their promo shots with, the Swarm Lord next to the Swarm Lord miniatures, all the like super dope looking foil cards. Like, that's what I want. So yeah, it's really Magic's it's I don't know. We'll see. I mean, obviously Magic's still going to exist next year, whatever. It is what it is. It's just a little bit of feel badsies, and the community. We talk about 40K and we talk about what GW does, and there's pros and cons. There's like, oh, hey, no, that's not that bad. Or, you got your people over here that are like, the sky's falling, GW's going out of business, whatever. But like legitimately over this reprint set, well, you can't say reprint, they're technically proxies, but these 30th anniversary packs, I have not seen one good thing said. And that is a hugely bad trend for Wizards. That's all I can say about that. I don't know where it's going to lead, but stores basically get a free $1,000 this November, I guess. Yay!
So it's one set to each Wizards location?
Yeah, on the Play Network. So like basically if you're an official Wizards retailer or what have you.
How many stores do they have?
That's really hard to say. More than GW stores. So I would say upwards, because you think about it, there's more card and comic stores out there. I would say 3 to 1. So I would put it somewhere in the States near 2K ish. 1,800 to 2K, I think, would probably be potentially more.
Wow. Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah. October releases, lots of alternative miniatures out there. Cromlech has a huge lineup that you can check out. RTLW just announced and put up a bunch of new miniatures and model kits, bundles and things coming out as well. And Pop Goes the Monkey also has a bunch of new stuff and some really cool looking Kill Team upgrade bit things. Like if you want to, kind of kid out how your things look, because they're all standard and really isn't much customization, unfortunately, in the rules for Kill Team right now. But if you want to make your stuff stand out from the existing stuff out there, they have a couple of conversion kits for that. And I think the majority of the stuff's 30% off. They're doing some sale thing for October with Shapeways. So definitely check that out if you're in the market for some upgrade bits there. Atomic Mass Games, the Sentinels will be out next week along with, Red Skull, and the Hydra Grunts pack will be out. Street date is the 14th, which I think is, I'm cheating, I'm buying time, next Friday. So there it is. So look for that if you're into the MCPs. Also, I think the Mandalorian miniature comes out the following week. So Mandalorian with Grogu. Maybe we'll see the limited edition Grogu around that time too. I don't know.
Which one's Grogu? Really is that the little Yoda person?
Yeah, the baby Yoda. Yeah, he's adorable.
Is he powerful?
What do you mean? You've seen the show. Oh, you mean like in the game?
Yeah, man.
Oh, he's about as helpful in the game as he is in the show. Like, you roll a dice and it does a kind of random effect. And unfortunately, if he is killed, he becomes a victory point token, a bounty token, or whatever it's called, that the opponent could pick up and actually get a victory point, which is kind of huge because in Legion, the games are actually pretty close victory point wise. Like, it's not like 40K where you're like playing on a scale of 100. Like, it's more like soccer match scoring. Like, you might win a game of Legion like 2-3 or something like that. So
it matters.
Yeah, it definitely matters. It's like if you take them, you got to be like really careful, so to speak. But he does have bodyguards. Like, you can get the Mandalorian himself can be kind of a bodyguard for him. IG-11, the nanny bot, can, if you take him, because he's coming out soon too, he can be a bodyguard for him as well. So, you know, there's some things you can do. I don't know. I saw the battle report they did. It looked fun.
That makes sense.
Just a little funsy thing. But I think a lot of people just want to paint the Mandalorian and Grogu regardless. So that will be out very soon. Something else that is on the horizon was I saw on the Twitter for the Joy Toys. They showed off some work in progress shots of what's going to be a Dread Knight action figure. And
okay.
He was holding the 3D, I assume it was 3D printed, the sword for the Dread Knight. And I mean, it looked like a dagger in his hand. That's how big it was. It was pretty dope. And he had the foot next to just a foot for that, what's going to be the action figure. And it was basically wider than, you know, the base for an actual Dread Knight was right next to it.
A 40K Dread Knight. Oh, shit.
Yeah, the 40K scale Dread Knight. And it was like the foot was bigger than the base. And it wasn't as tall as the model, but it was noticeably bigger. And they said it's going to be 20 inches tall, which,
oh my God,
a Warlord Titan is 23 inches tall from Forge Roll. So
I fucking need that, dude.
Apparently it's going to be between $250 and $300.
That adds up.
Yeah. I ain't mad at the price because obviously you can see not only miniatures but some collectibles behind me in the live stream here. So it's not unreasonable pricing for a
20-inch tall fucking collectible action figure. Getting fucking
with a Terminator model inside the chest that will probably open up and the dude can get out and stuff. Just like with the you can't see it on here, but the Invictor Warsuit that's right almost above me right there. If you get watching live, you can see him up there all by himself. I gotta put some stuff up there. My display is a little suffering. Been working too much lately, y'all. Anyways, so that looks really cool. So look for that. Hopefully, I think they said January. It would you'd be able to get it, at least pre-order it. I don't know when it'll actually drop. And last but not least, new GW previews this Saturday, 9 a.m. Eastern. Convert that to your time, wherever you may be. They're going to be 40K and Kill Team oriented. I know a lot of people are saying we might find out about 10th edition. I would say that is poodoo. We didn't find out about 9th edition until May, and it was supposed to come out in June, but it ended up coming out in July of 2020. So just kind of keep that in mind. We'll probably see a lot of stuff about the upcoming Imperial Guard, World Eaters, potentially Space Marines 2.0, because there really isn't much else to kind of fill the gap until summer, unless they try to do some more.
That is up with the Meta Watch article too on Space Marines.
Yeah, Space Marines in AdMech not looking so hot. Huh?
Not looking tight.
No.
If you want to use that as a segue, if you're at the end of your segment.
Yeah. How about that?
Good segue. Look at that shit, man.
Woo! Nailed it.
So, Warcom article dropped Meta Watch, which you know how it is. I don't. Rob is like, yo, I was trolling Twitter on Joy Toys side. I'm like, man, I wish I did that. I wish I knew this already. But I learned a lot of things from Rob and Wyatt in real time. And so today on the Tactics show, earlier via my Patreon page, we talked about it, and he read it to me. Then I went there and looked at it, and I was like, huh, there's some interesting stuff here. And
did you guys end up watching the video, by the way?
No, man, it's 23 minutes. I consume information 16 seconds at a time.
Just set it to 1.5 speed. It literally sounds the same because they talk so slow.
That's still more than 15 seconds.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's going to be at least 11 minutes. No, 11.
So the reason that was a good segue is Adeptus Astartes is like tied for last on win rate based on their metrics as of October 4th. So it makes sense based on some of the things they said in their article. Well,
remember, this isn't unprecedented, Kenny. At the end, just before we switched over to 9th edition, remember that fall, they put out two different waves.
Look, Marines are always going to get special treatment, period. They're always going to get a 2.0. They're always going to get a whatever 0.0. Marines are the poster of lore. Mm-hmm. The lore exists because Space Marines exist. Like, that's the whole thing. So, but regardless, it's interesting to see that there's a little data and truth. And if you take a lot of the things they said at face value, which I choose to. So just to summarize, this article basically reveals to us, like I said, I take it at face value. If you don't take things at face value, then you're just constantly second guessing what everyone's saying. You know what I'm saying? Like if Rob tells me a thing and I just say, I need to go fact check that or I don't believe you, how are we even going to have a fucking commerce? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like humans, we basically need to trust each other until proven otherwise, or we can't even fucking communicate. You know? And so
I'll trust people unless I just hear something wild that just sets off my spidey sense.
Default trust is on for me. I read this article, I take it at face value. And it's interesting because they put up, statistics and pictures and stuff. And here we go. Over 100,000 games recorded, tournament games recorded in, or competitive games recorded in Nephilim season. Not 9th edition. Okay.
There's no way.
Remember last week? No, that's some facts, dude. That stacks with what I'm telling you guys. Like BCP, like if you just look at all the games being played through that app, like, and you just start adding that shit up, you realize thousands of games of 40K are being played every fucking week.
Yeah.
Way more.
100,000 in 3 months?
Yes.
3 months.
Yeah. Doug, 250 people played 6 rounds at Las Vegas. How many fucking games is that? Think about it. Just do like 5 seconds of basic math. Because you're thinking
how
of
many other 250 person events are out there?
SoCal Open.
You have majority 25ers.
100. Well, yeah, the vast majority are 20, 30 people. But almost every major has triple digits now in the modern era. And they're all playing 6 rounds or 5 rounds. Michigan GT had 130 people and they played 5 rounds.
I mean, some weekends, dude, there isn't 10 tournaments in that BCP with, nothing over 25, 29 people.
Yeah, so we just came out of like all the Texas circuit games, all the fucking roadshow games, the fucking ATCs, fucking London GTs, like all these fucking tournaments, man. We're talking 1,500 games at just Vegas teams. Okay,
all right, we'll just continue with your point. I'm mulling it up.
That math tracks to me like 100%. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. But I'm certain that the data is also infected a little bit by possibly Crusade leagues that are on the app. Is something I speculate. So there's a degree of transparency that they have provided to us with this article. And that is simply that this is how many games have taken place that we've been able to record. Here are the win ratios of those games. And thirdly, part of that transparency, Rob, is here is our mechanism for balance, which is 5% within a standard deviation of 50%.
I mean, that's pretty normal for most, yes. polls that are like.
But they're breaking it down for us. Here it is, guys. 50% is the goal, but it's impossible, right? They even say it's impossible. So when I first heard that, I was like, oh, that's a little weak though. Like Tyranids win like all their games. I look at it, Tyranids, 59%. I was like, that is not nearly as gangster as I thought it was. But then I realized, like, well, every time I play Tyranids, it's at SoCal teams or Vegas teams, and I'm absorbing like some ballers meta Tyranid list. So I lose every time. It's a 100% win as far as I can tell. They win 100% of their games. It's not true. They win 59% of their games. So I was like, okay, so the 5% deviation actually means a lot, because so they're outside of the deviation by pretty big margin. And then I looked at Blood Angels and it's 48%. And I was like, okay, that actually tracks too, because I'm playing Blood Angels. I won 4 out of 6 games. But then I saw that a lot of Blood Angels did worse than me and a lot of Blood Angels did better than me. Or actually, sorry, one Blood Angel player did better than me at Vegas, and literally the rest did worse than me. I was like, okay, 48% tracks. So that's a good number. It's within deviation. And so then you can extrapolate. They say, and then we'll look at somebody who's outside or inside that deviation or below it or above it, and we'll boost them or adjust them. So now we can say so you're not even something they look at unless you move outside of the 5%. Take it at face value.
That seems reasonable to me.
It does. And at the end of the article, they mentioned Leagues of Votann is not in this data. Their line has not been released. We have no tournament data, and they're very cordial where they say and we're sure all these new enemy generals and all this will figure it out as they make their presence known on the tabletop and blah, blah, blah. And the way I read that data, or the way I interpreted that, Rob, was exactly what you were talking about earlier. About these little fiefdoms and these little compartments. That fucking cringe ass video we were talking about earlier, that fucking James Workshop Votann weakness video that I hated, funny comic bit, and then the most weak position I've ever seen a game designer take. We're sorry. We got it wrong this time. We heard you. I hated it. I was like, what a position of weakness. What game designer, what game producer would sign off on that fucking, that throwing him under the bus mentality? I would be enraged. I would never sign off on it. That's like me doing something controversial on the internet and then you apologizing for me in the worst, weakest, shittiest way possible. And I'm over here y'all never told you to say that about me. You know what I mean? And I'm like, why would that happen? Then I was like,
well, they are different departments.
Yes. And so this community outreach, marketing, social media department, who is obsessed with popularity and popular opinion, doesn't give a fuck about the game producing. Whereas that article does. To me, that last line, them being transparent with the way they look at numbers. We don't even look at stuff until it leaves the deviation. It's because guess what? It's not a problem. If it's nearly 50%, operating fine. But if it goes too far below it, Space Marines, AdMech, or too far above it, right? Tyranids and Harlequins, we look at it. Now it's on our radar. And this tracks with exactly what has occurred, Rob, throughout the Tau release, the AdMech original release, the Harlequins release, the Drukhari release. There was a day one FAQ, which was the basics. The errors in the codex, the things that they knew of, but they already printed it. And then the balance is based on what people are doing. In the case of Tau, they were like, yo, Crisis used too many points, broadsides are too cheap. This interaction is too good. In the case of Harlequins, you're all spamming the same 9 vehicles. We got to fix that. So Tyranids, you guys all took the new psychic bug and the harpies. So this is the day one balance, or the day 2 balance is based on the popular unit choices, because they don't even look at you until the deviation occurs. And then the next balance update, did the deviation hold, repair, or get worse? You know what I'm saying? So then that's when the second round comes in, where people have to get nerfed again. And so this all makes sense to me. It's been working as designed all through 9th. And there's been a couple moments where it seemed they went too hard. Custodes, right? Remember the Custodes nerf?
Mm-hmm.
Man, motherfucking Custodes are within deviation standards. 53%.
Yeah.
So they were probably 59%. They were probably the Tyranid situation. So yeah, it must suck going from winning 9 out of 10 of your games as a baller Custodes player with ease to having to winning 8 out of 10 was struggle. But So this all starts to make sense in my head. And what it told me, Rob, was exactly what you were saying. I was like, the game producer, because it became clear to me that a game producer exists now in the game since 8th edition dropped. There's a real design. There's a philosophy now for the game. That guy got thrown under the bus by fucking this PR bullshit in the fucking social media department. And that article and that fucking last sentence about, hey, there's no data for Votann yet, guys. Like, yeah, fucks. Like,
well, there's going to be a reason for that because you already kind of did your day one nerf that you were going to do by the popular vote.
Like, we don't look at these numbers until they're outside or inside the deviation parameters. There's no data for Votann. So, I don't know. To me, that is the game producer speaking, and that fucking stupid video we watched was the fucking social media fucking PR department fucking throwing him under the bus. There's a battle there. There's a fucking fight there.
Well, keep in mind, too, like, there's no more authors in these codex books. It's almost like they write themselves, right? Like, they started taking, when there was that big backlash against Matt Ward, who, by the way, works for them again and could even be the game producer for all we know. We don't know who writes codex to codex because people were literally like threatening dude's life. So,
not to make too many inferences, I take the article at face value professionally. And now my unprofessional persona, my real life person, loves to draw inferences from a limited data set, which is that they are fighting, they're feuding, and that the fucking PR department fucking threw the game producer under the bus, who I'm proud of that motherfucker since 8th edition. I'm proud of that direction they've taken this game. Aesthetically, game theory-wise, balance-wise. So I'm pro game producer, anti-James Workshop.
There actually is a precedent for that because remember when super ridiculous over-the-top rules used to be in White Dwarf?
Yep.
After that summer, guess what never happened again? I mean, we got like some assassin updates and some BS. Hey, here's some rules for this chapter that was only in this book. But we never got rules updates, actual rules updates through the White Dwarf. I mean, we might get the points for whatever chapter approved, what have you. I think the 2 issues ago came with a little mini book for that.
Because nobody was in charge of that shit back in those days. They didn't have a game producer. They didn't have a guy whose job it was, who was hired to keep the ship pointed in one direction through their vision of the future, like a director does, like a, you know what I mean? And now they have one. And this video shit on that guy. It made him look weak. Made him look like he couldn't stand by his own game, his own balance philosophy. It's like they spoke for him. Is how it feels to me. Like, it's all just inferences, but.
I mean, even if that is the case, which it very well could be, that's why they hire the people they do at GW, because they're all for the team. They're all for the cause. And, you know, if somebody over here shits on you, well, that's just the way it is.
To me, that article is laden with passive aggressive tone toward that video, but maybe I'm looking for that. Because you know what would have been a better video? Is if those two departments worked together. They did the whole James Workshop bit, which was kind of, I found it at first I was like, oh, this is silly. But then the stuff he kept saying on the phone, I was like, I kept finding it funnier and funnier.
Yeah, it did start to get funnier.
It got funnier and funnier. And I was like, okay. And then when it cuts away and then it goes to the we fucked up part, to me, they should have just read this part of the article down here at the bottom about Votann. We're pretty satisfied with the number of armies. This is what they just should have said. They do the bit, the James Workshop bit, and then they cut away to the 2 cats. While we are pretty satisfied with the number of armies hovering around 50% mark, every new rule set brings a change with it. Other guy takes over. The League of Votann haven't even had a chance to make their mark on the competitive scene yet. But we have no doubt that they will once they've been recruited into people's collections and enemy commanders have worked out how to combat them. Other guy starts talking. They're not currently included in these statistics, but we'll include their results in our regular data sweeps once the whole range is available. That's the whole fucking video. And there's no balance. There's no fucking nerf. You don't change anything. You just say, hey, we hear you, dude. We feel you. But rest assured, things get on our radar once they hit that 5% deviation, and we fix things like we've been doing since 9th edition dropped, since 8th edition dropped. But nope. To me, I would
even go further and be like, hey, we got since January, we've got the Mount status slate every quarter. We've got the twice yearly chapter proofs, Grand Tournament, whatever it's called.
There's no reason to fucking justify that position, though. Like, it's like you have to convince somebody that you're right. And it's like, so the meta article is kind of like, hey, we've been doing this right, guys. They put them in a further position, so we just have to justify their fucking data. But I do appreciate the transparency in that article. But you're right. It's like, that's for us objectively to comment on. Like, guys, sorry, Rob, continue saying what you're saying. That shit's important to hear, but the game producer shouldn't have to fucking say what Rob's about to say.
I mean, dude, to be quite fair to Games Workshop, the balance to the game of Warhammer 40K is probably the only thing they've objectively done right. They've said, we're going to do this thing, and they did it right, and it's working. And it is working. And I think this early nerf to Votann was a mistake. And I think you're right. That would have been a great way to present it. But that we know didn't happen.
No, it didn't. So it's frustrating. I'm not actually mad about this shit. Like, I don't get mad about fucking things that I enjoy. Like, I would even say I'm not even really disappointed because, like, again, it doesn't affect me. I don't play Votann. I don't give a fuck. Like, it's not like and also maybe somebody did buy Votann because of how OP they bought in on that one, like on that concept, right? Maybe somebody was like, yo, they're going to be the worst army ever. I'm going to buy every model. I don't care. I'm going to fuck everybody's shit up on the table. Yeah, sure. Maybe one or two people bought the fucking entire range of models for that reason. And so that guy, his fun comes from securing victory on the tabletop at all costs. And so his fun was compromised by this nerf. Okay. I bet that guy's not even really that disappointed because if that's how you run your game, that means you're constantly running your game that way. You're like, okay, next thing. So no, I don't really see there's not really a thing to be disappointed in. There's not really a thing to be outraged by. There's just a thing to comment on and speculate on. Like you always say, trends matter. This could be the beginning of a trend. It's not a trend yet, but capitulating to the masses pre-market data could be a trend that we have empirical data and evidence on parallel, markets leads to a bad thing happening in the end. So a lot of people out there are like, yay, they heard me. GW heard me. They fixed Votann before they hurt my feelings on the table, whatever. Maybe that's a little too shitty of me to say. It'll snide of me to say. Maybe, hey, they heard me, and otherwise feel unheard in my day-to-day life on this internet, and I feel heard today, and that's a great feeling. But also maybe objectively think about like the game you love to play and participate in. You want to be as healthy as possible, and if you believe anything I say, and you listen to this podcast, and you're that guy I'm talking to, that's not a healthy direction, potentially, if it marks a trend.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you, dude.
But it may not mark a trend. It just could be an outlier. Who knows? It
could, until we see how good the Guard and the World Leaders might be, or maybe Space Marines 2.0. Yeah. And then we can see if the trend continues.
Yeah. I mean, Space Marines 2.0 makes sense just from a marketing stance, period, right? But
and
also
historical
evidence.
Yep.
And simultaneously, again, if you take this chart at face value, they are tied for last place performers. The only 4 factions, according to their data, are outside of the standard deviation. Adeptus Astartes being one of them.
But the wrong way.
But the wrong way, the bad way. The 39%. Tyranids, 59%. Harlequins, 58%. Those are the only two that are outside of it in the positive way. Okay?
They did mention in the video that the Marines might be underperforming because it's where a lot of people start. So they might not necessarily be as...
And that's why
which I think
don't
is weird.
Put a lot of stock in the very obvious low-hanging fruit here, which is, well, win ratios are a dumb way to do metrics. It's not that they're a dumb way to do metrics. They're the only available way for them to do their metrics. And to think that they're unaware of the flaws in that metric is disproven by the words in the article, which is like, Space Marines could potentially be underperforming because it's traditionally a starter army, and people who are playing them might be vastly populated by beginners. So they understand that they might not need to fix them as hard. See, they're aware of the inherent flaws of just tracking win-loss ratios. But it's the only data they have at this moment, so use it.
Right.
While being aware of the issues with it. Like, it's possible that Custodes, which I just complimented a minute ago, Rob, Custodes, 53% within standard deviation in the positive side. It's entirely possible that that statistic is skewed by Crusade data. They don't tell us in there if that's the case. So I'd like to...
I guess they would know for sure.
They would know, right? But I will also say that tracks because they got nerfed harder than I thought they needed to. But every Custodes player I've interacted with at the last two GTs, which are both team events, so there was dozens of fucking Custodes players I interacted with, were doing just fine, brother. I got my dick slapped by Custodes at California teams. Like, right after the nerf. Like, got my dick slapped.
Nerf, air quotes.
So I'm like, maybe they were like Tyranids. Maybe they were running a 59% deviation here. And they got just slapped down to 53%, still positive, but in the correct side, but correctly within parameters.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, going to I go to mostly team events now. I feel like this all tracks. This all looks correct to me. Tau, 50% after their nerf. That tracks to me. Like, they seem to do just fine, but they're not like the oppressive version of Tau. Now, Harlequins got nerfed, but they're still at 58%. And this is something I wanted to bring up too, which we talked about a little bit earlier, is here's what happens, guys. Codex drops, and there's some obvious smooth brain combos, right?
Yeah.
Because the points are right, it's easy to understand, DPS, city, all this. And then GW sees that we're all playing the same smooth brain game, and then they take it away from us or make it so it's not quite as good. So then some people continue to try to make it work, but it doesn't. And then what happens is the people who were just onboarding the ease of play, they just go back to the other thing they were playing, different faction. But then the hardcores, they're like, okay, now that our time with the easy combo is done, let's really dig into this shit. And then the real gangster shit comes out. So then what happens is a new version of the list emerges that is even stronger than the smooth brain combo that got everyone mad, but it's only stronger in the hands of those top performing players who stuck with it. And that's what we're seeing right now with Harlequins. All the Harlequin lists at fucking Vegas teams, they're all exactly the same list. Almost no changes. And they were winning games left and fucking right. So, just like when AdMech they got FAQ'd, nerfed, unnerfed, they have to get unnerfed again because the second nerf was too far in the wrong direction. Harlequins are about to experience their second nerf.
I can see that.
And with Tyranids, 59%. The highest performing faction. Now that they're looking at it, they're going to look at all the archetypes and they're going to be like, okay, seems like 90% of these guys are playing like 9 bricks of warriors with transhuman. Oh, and they all have access to the stratagem for -1 damage. Oh, I can see why this is doing well and why everyone wants to play that. So they'll target that first. Right? And they'll probably change it to transhuman light. You know, you've got the version of transhuman that only works versus a certain strength weapon or a damage profile. Or
that'd be interesting.
Or version, you know, or instead of always being, or you know, instead of you can't wound at anything better than 4, you can't wound at anything better than 3. Also, transhuman light. You know, so I feel like they're gonna mess with it on that chassis. So, all in all, love the article. Still disappointed that Votann got nerfed, but maybe they come out and they win the top 8s all day, every day. Who knows?
They go wild and they'll be like, "We were right, guys."
If they were right, then I will be like, "Whew, this time they were right. Please don't make it a trend." You know what I'm saying? There's a slippery slope. Like sometimes you get it wrong with data. So I'm not going to say that, you know, suddenly you're just guides at predicting your own game, you know? Like they basically nerfed AdMech to the tied last place performing faction.
That's an issue.
By accident. But based on their own statements, you could infer that a lot of people just stopped playing them because AdMech was kind of in the forefront of our hot release cycle. So as they got harder to play, people probably just moved on to the new spicy shit. So there's probably just less games being fucking played too.
Yeah, that could be it. The sample size.
So, again, tracking win ratio is a flawed system. There's like 20 things you want to track. They currently they're not set up to do that.
No, they need, just like we talked about with the playtesting, they need a person or a team of people.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. It's true, man. So what are you thinking? What's your solution?
To what? The FAQ or what? I mean, I think it's basically working. They have the patch, they have the fix in place that seems to work with their system. We'll call it a system. There's a lot of issues with how they release things, the paywalls, the fact that this all should just be free downloads, right? Like, where do we begin? Like the system is flawed, but they've come up with this patch that seems, the patch being the bound status slates and the chapter approved books, that seems to be working.
Hot fixes.
So just the hot fixes. So just go with that. Just keep going with the hot fixes because it seems to be working and it seems to be in a good place. And whatever you want to talk about in your MetaWatch article, in your video, your 23-minute video, regardless of what you say, what is being done seems to be working. So let's just keep doing that, because anytime you start doing this knee-jerk shit, it's creating a bigger issue out there. It's creating more permutations and more ripples in the system. And who knows what the F will happen, right? So I think we just stick with what we got, and stop doing this, stop kind of pandering to the vocal minority in my mind.
You know what's crazy too is like Adeptus Sororitas, right? Sisters and Necrons, right? We've been complaining about them week after week because they are with combination of armor contempts for the sisters, the Necrons buff, but then also the ease at which they can score secondaries, where the rest of us got throttled from secondaries, seems to make them hard to play against. Mm-hmm. But they are so Tyranid, Harlequins, Ynnari are the top performers, and then Sisters, Necrons, Chaos Demons, which have old data and like new old faction and new faction combined, right? Because they were legal at like Vegas teams. They're all 54%. They're within standard deviation. So it's interesting to look at this and be like, because my experience with Sisters is 50-50 right now, right? I have been playing them a lot in teams, and I win and I lose, like exactly against the same list over and over again. I keep getting better at it, and I'm hoping to go to SoCal this weekend and play some Sisters and start pushing my win ratio to the positive, right? 54%, that kind of tracks. You know, that's a hard fight. Like, you know what I mean? I'm constantly fighting to push because what happens is like I win, I lose, and then I lose before I win again. So I keep going down.
That's cat logic.
You see what I'm saying? So that 54% though was like perfectly on the line practically with what's occurring for me. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe in my mind I put I guess maybe I don't value something as simple as 5% increase. You know what I mean? Maybe in my mind, I'm like, it's the fucking worst. You know what I mean? And I'm like, nah, you know what? They're like having a win ratio of 54% versus my Blood Angels, which have a win ratio of 48% right now. It tracks with my current experience with them. And I'm like, it's not as big of a deal as I thought it was. You know? And it makes me actually kind of inspired to like get back to the drawing board. It's not hopeless, you know? And even looking at the Tyranids at 59%, I'm like, that's a big fucking jump over what I got. But I ain't 100%.
Nope.
I thought it was 100%, you know?
Well, it just depends on who's piloting them, like you said.
Makes me fired up to get back in there, you know? Which is kind of like what happened with Vegas. Like, I finally finished the Blood Angels, went and played against Tyranids on camera, got my dick stomped. Then I made the adjustments to the list that I needed to based on that playtest. Did really fucking well in Vegas. Got my dick stomped again by Tyranids. I'm like, okay, what have we learned here twice now? Here's the first thing. They're both different Tyranid lists using different fucking brew rules. I learned that the way you fight one is not the way you fight the other. So I gotta learn how to fight multiple versions of an army.
Yeah.
I got my dick stomped by two completely different Tyranid armies. This game seems really fucking good right now.
That's what I'm saying.
Like
I just feel like it's in a good place. Yeah, we can improve on some things. Like a free rules download wouldn't mess up anything, you know, because it'd be free. Putting out the rules maybe early for us to do the whole beta test on. That really wouldn't mess up anything, except for maybe you'd remember a rule from that was beta and now it's not beta anymore. We've had beta rules test times, like Sisters were beta. Via beta vehicle assault rules.
Oh yeah, for trial vehicle assault rules.
Yeah, trial. I mean, that was 20 years ago, but we still had them. And
beta bolter rules, like all that shit.
Yeah. So there's been stuff that's happened that we can point at and see like, hey, it worked, guys. But you know, did they want to give up the money to revenue from the books? And that's why the Codex books with the rules in it. And that's why I said, hey, just turn it into a thing where it's still got like the paint guides, your lore, bat rep, maybe put a little sprue of the duder in there so people can get a chance to pick it up and, oh shit, I got a dude too. Cool. I'll take them home and paint them. Now I'm going to spend $800 on the army, you know, like easy. I think it's a win-win. Like put out the rules for fucking free. Like what is this? This is the 90s.
Seriously.
Get out of here. Yeah, I think the fix we have in place is great. There's ways we can improve maybe the delivery of the rules, but overall, I think we didn't really need the Votann fix the way it came out.
Nope. Someone in chat asked, what kind of sisters am I using? I don't play sisters. I play against them. I don't play a bunch of skinny armed people. I don't play skinny armed Xenos, skinny armed humans, jacked arms only.
Jacked.
That's my rules. It's my only rule that I play 40K by.
Until next week when he has a new rule.
That's fair. All right, you want to take us out of here then?
Yep. That is it for this one, y'all. Thanks everybody for watching. Wyatt will be back for the whole show here soon. He's has to cut out and return some videos. So head on over to thelongwar.net. I almost said it. For exclusive content, early access videos, and more. Become a veteran of the Long War today.